Hi, I'm Martin from Glens bushcraft. In this video, me and my good friend David will be canoeing down one of the more famous Scottish rivers, the mighty Spey. It's a very famous salmon fishing river that flows down through whisky country, but it's also a fantastic river to canoe. We will be paddling down this river in our GRP Canadian canoes and carrying with us all the equipment we need for 3 days of lightweight wild camping. But as keen bushcrafters, we will be keeping our eyes open for natural resources such as wild food and fungi along the way. Lettuce is sulphurous, I think, because of the colour, you know, that really yellow colour. We're finding Danny today. This river really kept us on our toes as we navigated its plentiful rapids and very low water, explored its many islands, slept in some of its beautiful campsites, and soaked in the stunning scenery. So this is the short story of a 3-day trip down the Spey. Lots of canoeing, lots of laughs, a lot of getting wet, and swimming in the Spey. You alright, buddy? A few very gnarly moments. We have a few drams. And of course, lots of beautiful Scottish scenery. But as we want to show you as much of the journey as possible, we have to begin at the start, at the shuttle of the vehicles. Hi everybody, this is us at the start of our little Spey trip. We got here very late last night as per tradition. Just stopped in this little bit of woodland here. Got the tarps and hammocks up, and there's David in the background, just put the stuff away before our very early start. So yeah, quite a comfortable night's sleep. Not long enough, not anywhere near long enough, so I dare say we'll be a bit tired tomorrow. Yeah, this is the start of 2 or 3 days of canoeing down the Spey. The tarp and hammock is a simple and fast sleeping system to set up for a trip where you want to travel light. And we thought getting a good night's sleep before we headed to the starting point was a sensible decision. We left our camping spot near Spey Bay to drive the 65 miles to our put-in point at Kingussie. We had planned to leave from Newtonmore, but as the river was so low, we thought we would start a little further downriver. The drive takes about an hour and a half. In full spate, the river can be ran in a long day, but as this was the summer, the water level was too low, so we were planning to canoe the 108 kilometres from Kingussie to the sea in 3 days. We were starting at Kingussie, so the first camp would be just after Abbeymoor. It was great to get the boats packed and get in the water. Our decision to start further down the river at Kingussie meant there would be more water in the river, but we were still grounding out for a half mile or so before reaching flat water. We've been planning this trip for so long and it felt great to be finally doing it. I think I may be telling of the kind of stuff we've got to go through lower down. Strainer. Watch out, it's still a log at the end of that. Mixture of live ash and an alder falling over there. After a few small twists and turns beyond our put-in point, the river flows through a long area of flat water called Inch Marshes, which is, among other things, a bird-orientated nature reserve. The sun was shining and we were enjoying the stress-relieving aspects of our first morning's paddle, watching the nature and gentle scenery of the Cairngorms go by. So before we set off, we obviously gave quite a lot of consideration to how we were packing the boats. We've got to keep the heavy items low, the bulky, lighter items high, keep the centre of gravity down, make sure the boats are trimmed up right, so that we can paddle them without having to worry about where, you know, whether the front's up or you're getting some bow steering, especially because we're going to have to do quite a lot of manoeuvring because of the low water. So we really don't want to be messing about with, like, you know, kit moving around and getting sloshed about. You know, heaven forbid if we do go in, the things are going to be in the canoe, they're not going to be going, you know, flying outwards, they're not going to be flopping around or attached at multiple points. Hopefully we should have a smooth ride to our campsite. There isn't any real technical rapids in this river, but there is a couple of sustained sort of sections of constant, wave after wave after wave. So we're expecting possibly quite a lot of wash into the boat, which is why we've about fly-bagged pretty much everything. So at the front we have one of the two blue buoyancy bags. On top of this is my bouzouki in its polythene cover and spare paddle. Under the front seat is the Kayla kettle and cooking equipment. The small dry bag is spare clothes, and the large yellow bag is my camping equipment and tools. My helmet and GoPros I keep handy on top of these. Behind my seat I keep a cool bag with food and items I want to have access to during the paddle, like spare batteries, jackets, the GPS unit, etc. Coming out of some marshland there, so we're alright with that paddling. There's a few of these bird cherry bushes on the side of this. Bird cherry, aka Punis paris, is edible but a bit bitter, and make sure and spit out the seeds because they're poisonous. Tasty. The flat section through Inch Marshes comes out into Loch Inch, a small loch near Kincraig. A pretty little loch that is a popular tourist spot with boat tours and has had a water sports centre on it for as long as I can remember. It's about a mile long, and it didn't take us long to cross to the other side. No, just crossing Loch Inch just now. Sun's out, we're happy. We're going to stop for a little bit of food before we go into the further bits where we think the river's going to start moving a bit faster. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, totally. Got the Kayla kettle out on this canoe trip. It's not normally something I use when I'm out sort of day-to-day bushcraft camping or camping when I'm having to hike, but it's quite bulky. But it's great for little trips like this where sort of bulk isn't really an issue. You can boil stuff super quick. If you just want to stop and have a quick brew and it doesn't leave any kind of fire scar on the ground. So it's a really handy kit. We're doing a bit posh today. We are going to put the percolator on top of it as well to get some proper coffee. Now, as you know, as we're going along trips like these, we like to pick up little edible tidbits along the way. Do a little bit of browsing when we see something that's seasonal and fresh. And I was hoping at this time of the year that I would maybe find one of these, but I was never expecting to find one here. Have a look at this bad boy. So it's chicken of the woods, or sulphur polypore. Lettosporus sulphurus because of the colour, that really yellow colour. And it's a great fungi because it's really difficult to confuse it with anything else. For info on IDing this fungus, check out my Chicken of the Woods video on my channel. And it's very tasty. Admittedly, I more often eat it off of oak. This is generally tastier because sometimes if they're grown off conifers, like this nice old larch, they can pick up a bit of the flavour of the sort of resinous flavour, so it's not sometimes not as nice. We'll take a bit of this for later on and we'll cook it up and see how it tastes. See? Very yellow pores, spongy, nice and young. This specimen's really young, it's just growing right now. Sometimes these can get to a very big size. That'll be particularly tasty, and also not a lot of other critters I've got to at first, like slugs and stuff will quite like this. Slugs and beetles. And it's called chicken in the woods because it genuinely does taste a little bit like chicken, but it's more the texture. Even once it's cooked, the texture of it is, it's not spot on, but if I was to give you this mixed in with a plate of like a chicken curry or something like that, you would probably struggle to tell the difference between them if it was really tender chicken. I'm very happy to find that. I've been looking for it now because I knew it was the time of year for it. I was looking at all the dead oak I could see along the side. It wasn't a huge amount of it. So there's the very thing I was looking for. Lovely. So I think that's probably as much as I'm going to take from that. Otherwise I'll have to start digging out this and the sort of further older parts if I get a bit chalky. So that's more than enough for us for tonight to accompany the meal we had planned. So I'm dead happy with that.
Sorry, say that again?
This is a yuppie for trying a bit of chicken in the woods.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we've actually got some chicken casserole that we can maybe bulk it out a little bit with.
Absolutely. Do you trust me?
Yeah, I trust your ID skills. So
no, this is spot on. So anyway, that's us with wine and dined. It's time to do the second half of today's paddle. Let's do it. Clearly we were not the only ones that enjoyed the easily accessible waters along this river, as almost every house along the banks had some sort of boat, whether it be a canoe, rowing boat or kayak. After a long stretch of flat paddling, we were glad that the river was starting to flow a little bit faster. All was going well until I chose to explore a pretty wooded little side channel. Oh, this doesn't look good. Oh, tree down right across. I'm gonna have to lean right back, hopefully I'll go over it. Bloody hell, this thing's grippy. Oh. Okay. It's definitely a bad choice. Oh, a bad choice, man. So we think there's an osprey just up there on the very top of that. Is that a birch tree or something? And that's a buzzard. You never know, the osprey might take off when the buzzard goes past it. You can see it sitting there. Saw it take off. A big white belly and a very wide wings with the raptor shaped wings. Just going to scoot past you, mate, since I've got this camera rolling. There it is, there it is. Oh, and a heron. Hell of a lot of wildlife here. Caught in a strainer. Woo! Watch out, there's still a log at the end of that. Doing a wee panoramic. We were having a lot of fun running the gentle rapids of this upper section. The weather was beautiful as the river eased us into our journey with a soft first day. Even in the low water, pretty much all of the rapids were passable, but the evidence of the low water level was everywhere, and we had to dodge fallen trees, exposed rocks, and constantly keep our eyes on the river so we could follow the deeper channels between the sand and the gravel banks just below the water surface. Yeah. Bloody shallow. Look at that, chaps. That's why we're here. The way into Aviemore was stunning, especially around the Craigellachie Nature Reserve, before the river runs through the bustling hub of the Cairngorms. We knew we should find a camp as the sun was going down, but as Aviemore is very busy this time of year, we pressed on for another hour or so to get clear of the town. And a few miles down the river, we found the perfect little island to call home for the night. Well, that's the first day done, and the sun's going down, so let's get the camp set up. We quickly got ashore and set up camp as the light was fading. It's great camping with someone who can handle themselves in the woods, as we can get on with the various tasks autonomously without having to worry about one another. We've got the camp set up and we've both had a nice refreshing wash in the river, and it's time for some grub now. So I wanted to keep it really simple this time because we're not out canoeing, camping. We're going to take advantage of wild food when we can, but I wanted things to be fast, simple. We've got some pans, we've got my little cast iron sort of tripod there, trivet that I can put over the fire, that's dead handy. We can stick frying pans, we can stick boiling pans over that. It's just dead simple, fast, means you don't have to faff about building an A-frame or something like that every single camp we go to. So how I'm going to incorporate these today, I haven't even got any seasoning or anything with me, so I'm just going to cut these up in little chunks, fry them off, and I'm going to add it to packets of sort of chicken casserole that we've got with us. Obviously we'll try the chicken of the woods first, just to sort of savour the flavour, and then we'll add it to the rest of it. So we've got some rice and some casserole there, a couple of drams, and once we've got full bellies we will be in our bed. So I'm going to just cut these up and trim off the little dirty bits, and we will get them in the pan. Sometimes when you put them in bags they get a bit soft, they sweat a little bit. So sometimes these little really tender ends just go a bit soggy. The best thing to do is to have them in a basket where they can breathe, which is obviously why you see, you know, mushroom pickers, professional mushroom pickers always using a wicker basket. It's not something we have today. See, that's a little bit where the sort of root is, where it's been coming out. That's a little bit hard. We've got plenty mushroom today, so I'm just going to discard that and we'll just use the most tender parts of it today. Quite a substantial haul, David.
Yeah.
Just these wee bits where they're dirty. I'm just gonna trim them out. If I was in the house and I had this, I'd probably be a little bit more careful about it. If you see where like a slug has been eating it, or a little beetle's crawled in it or something, you'll make sure nothing's in there. I'll reduce in size a little bit when I cook it. It's not a tremendously flavoursome fungus. It's not going to break any world records for flavour, but it's a nice flavour. It fits my bill of being easy to identify. I don't like to mess around with stuff that's, you know, too close to any of the more dangerous ones. You know, I mean, there are some fungus out there they're very tasty, but they're just a wee bit too close ID wise to some of the more dangerous ones, or even ones that can just give you an adverse reaction with, you know, alcohol, or give you an upset stomach if you don't cook it right. Sweet, so that's quite a wee haul of a mushroom there. So you can see how it really, I mean, you could be forgiven for thinking that was a piece of corn-fed chicken breast. So I'm just going to whack this in my lovely big Tatonka billy can here. Wee bit of olive oil in there. Well, a lot of olive oil because it's not non-stick, so I just need to watch out it doesn't get too hot, and it won't get very hot in that skillet, which is why I've let that fire die down a little bit. Get that mushroom in. Slosh it about, get it all nice and oily. Get it up to temperature. So that's really good, looking good, and it's starting to smell good as well. Just going to keep stirring it, make sure it doesn't stick. And I have to say, this is a really meaty fungus. One thing I should say that's probably quite poignant to a lot of you wild food enthusiasts out there is it's a great meat substitute for vegans and vegetarians. So I'm just hoping that because we found this on larch, that it's not going to have any kind of, you know, piney sort of resinous sort of flavour to it. The younger ones tend to be a lot milder in flavour, and they tend to not have sort of concentrated any chemicals from the host tree. Hopefully it should taste pretty good. I would never dream of using this if it was on poison species, because it can grow on quite a lot of species. Things like it can grow on yew. If it did grow on yew, there's absolutely no way I'd be picking and eating this. So it just shows you that, and sometimes when you've got a very obvious, you know, easy to identify fungus, you still have to be careful with it because it could be growing on something that could be potentially toxic. We're fine and dandy today, so we'll cook that off, and yeah, we'll try some before we mix it in with the casserole. Yeah, go ahead, David, do you want a wee try?
Yeah.
There we go. Could do with a little bit of salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of garlic. When you're in the woods, you just got to make do with what you got.
That is really similar to chicken. That is like...
It's freakily similar, isn't it?
It even smells like chicken that's been, like, you know, in a pan and is browned at the, you know, you're frying chicken in a frying pan and it's... It's browned at the edges, like when you're cooking fajitas or something like that. It does indeed, it really does. Yeah, it's always a exciting moment when I find a good chicken in the woods. And I mean, they can get, I mean, that was a small one we found, you know, it could have got bigger. We'll chuck in the rest of the casserole mix and we'll get this dinner on the go. No matter what you're drinking, whether it's port, whiskey, whatever, mead, beer, always tastes better and is far more wildery from a horn cup. It's just the way to do it. It was a quick and tasty dinner, and with full bellies and peaceful minds, we hopped into our hammocks after the first of many long days. Morning, start of day 2 here. Camped on this lovely little island last night. So we've got river on both sides of us. There's a little fire down there next to where the canoes are stored. We're just having a little brew. Start the day off. Just got a little gas stove on
this morning. Nice quick start, we don't have to bother, you know, making a fire and making sure it's all put out and cleared up before we head off. Got a percolator going there. Have a good sleep last night, David?
Like a log.
Yeah. A very noisy, snowy log. But a well slept log, I dare say.
Yeah.
Hammock set up there as well. I had a wee wash last night in the river, so trying to dry off some of the towels and stuff like that under there. We're expecting quite a lot of rain today, although it may be slightly uncomfortable. It will do some wonders for the water level. But a nice little island this. So you can go get a few patches of different kind of wild food on it as well. The main obvious one being these red currants that are everywhere. You can see them behind me. And they're almost ripe. We're about on the bitter side. There's tons of them, and there's also a lot of bird cherry as well. So upper story's all birch, birch alder mainly, a little bit of sycamore, a few nice rounds. So it's a nice little sort of semi-natural wood here. A bit of wild mint down there as well. Nice. Anyway, I'm gonna get some coffee and get the stuff packed up and get back in the water. We had another long day ahead of us as we set off to paddle the 40 odd kilometres from our camp near Aviemore to a camp around Ballindalach. And that is cast off. We were starting as early as we could this morning in order to make up for our slow progress the day before. We were planning on paddling at least 40 kilometres today, which would be a challenge at this time of year. The character of the river changed almost immediately beyond this point, as the frequency of the rapids increased and the terrain became much more varied. There was only one memorably long, flat section with some interesting old railway bridge footings. The rest was fun little fast sections and small rapids. I struggled to think of a more inappropriate snack when going towards an obstacle on a river. But, good energy. Rapids coming up. I was always curious about the underwater presence of a canoe, as an angler as well as a canoeist, and you can see from this footage that they are as silent and slick as you'd expect. Although it had been raining for most of the day, this still made very little difference to the water level, and we were still having to constantly manoeuvre and dodge around underwater obstacles and rocks. Even after choosing a good line before hitting the rapids, we still had to really be on our toes to dodge things that we could only see once we were right on top of them. Nice. That was fun. Wee bit of action finally. Yeah, let's do that. After an entertaining but wet morning's paddle, we pulled in on our lovely old bridge for a spot of Cullenskink soup and coffee. That's for later. But we didn't stop for long, as the call of the river was loud in our ears. The other one does look smoother, the other one. Despite the rain, we continued to be hampered by low water, and some lining was necessary. Essentially, you walk your canoe like a dog on a leash. Well, we knew it was coming at some point, didn't we? I think you just line it, mate, until we get past this little shallow bit.
So we've come all the way here. Looks like there's plenty of places to...
Plenty of places to camp?
Yeah. I mean, look,
We had established a good rhythm and we were making good progress when David took his eyes off the river for a split second and suddenly disaster struck. You alright, buddy? You want me to come and get you or the canoe? Eh? You alright? You standing? We both keep emergency throw lines next to us in our canoes, and if the water was deeper or the flow stronger, I would have thrown this to David to help him to the shore. But as this water was calm and only a few feet deep, this wasn't necessary. Oh. There's your kneeling floor. It is difficult to see what happened on camera, but David had slid sideways into a row of rocks at the top of a small rapid. This is the easiest way to tip a canoe. As they are narrow craft with no keel, they can tip sideways easily. David's gunwale had snagged on the top of the rocks and stopped the canoe dead, and that threw him in an instant. The canoe was still stuck on these rocks, so he had to flip it over to free it. David handled the situation well, as this was not his first rodeo, but I stayed close to help if necessary. Canoes that are full of water are very heavy, so it's best to get them to shore if you can, to empty them. Water in that, so watch, take weight off of it. Get over that rock. Are you on, mate? You got your hand? Cut. I want to get some of your gear out and we'll empty it. Alright, is it broken or is it just cut?
It's well cut.
Go for that.
Oh man!
How's the canoe? Just push the bolts out and strip off that outside edge.
Yeah.
Fiberglass is all alright, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah, that looks alright. Damage, not too bad. This man's alright. Yeah, it's all part of it, getting a wee bit wet.
On a more serious note, that's why it's important to properly strap everything into your canoe, so you know you can recover your canoe with like bits of gear just like flopping out of it. You need to strap your gear in properly.
Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't lose anything, so that's good.
I didn't lose anything, no.
Brilliant. It's important to stop after an incident like that and let any element of shock pass. And after we saw to David's finger and wet gear, we pressed on. Lovely bow deer there. Doe. It was getting pretty late in the day at this stage, so we started to look for a place to camp for the night. But as a lot of the banks at this point of the river are manicured for salmon fishing, we struggle to find a private and wild camping site.
Well, it certainly doesn't look like there's any fishing from this side.
We knew we were fast approaching the most serious rapid on the river, rather ominously named the washing machine, and we really wanted to avoid running this at night. But the river didn't care about our plans, and all of a sudden, we were on it.
Where do they go? Which way?
It was much darker than it looks on camera, and I couldn't see or hear David at this point, so I just had to go for it.
Yeah, go on then. That's it, man, that's it. That's it. I could hear, did you hear me on the radio, yeah? Yeah. Because I was like, that sounds pretty big, and he didn't hear any reply. I was like, does he hear about what I'm talking about? Huh? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. More than a couple of jugs, that's for sure. That was great though. I mean, what a boost of adrenaline right there at the end. That woke me up. I was wanting to get out and film both of us going down it, but I guess that's it happened now.
So, sit rep. We have finally got to a campsite after quite a long paddle. We paddled probably over 40 kilometres today. The river being low really did hold us back a little bit, so we got back pretty late, plus our little minor disasters that happened along the way as well. Be glad to hear now that we have found a campsite. We're all changed in dry clothes. We've got a lovely little fire going. Tarps and hammocks are set up. I'll give you a little look at them in a minute. And we've got a lovely little Scots pine fire going and some chilli in the pan. And I can tell you we are happy to have that prospect on the horizon. I'm going to bivvy bag it tonight, as hammock was a wee bit cold. This time of year I only brought a really small sleeping bag. We got the gear hanging up inside the tarp. I like to take my bivvy bag in case we don't find a suitable spot for the hammocks. And since it is small and light, it's not too much of a burden to carry, as a spare sleeping system. I tend to sleep better in a bivvy bag anyway. David's gear all was nice and dry inside his good quality dry sacks, and he's got his hammock set up there. This lovely little stand of pine here. Got a fire going, not too much time, split up some nice dry stuff. It's time for the chili.
Yep.
Right.
So after my unfortunate dip in the Spey, we're just drying some clothes here. We've also water on the boil because we've ran out of drinking water. We've only got a couple of litres left, which is not enough for tomorrow. And then we've got Martin playing the bouzouki.
Well, it's been surviving in the front of the canoe, getting wet, so we had to bring it with us and actually get it out. Might be midnight, but we can still have a wee bit of tune, can't we?
She's the maid of the river, so beautifully plain, as fresh as the country that gave her a name, as swift as the snow and as crisp as the rain. Shone like the sun before all of our games. She shone like a jewel, but her price was not gold. She cried more than most when her story was told, where the people were evil, left her barren and cold. Her heart went to market where her body was sold. I said, hey, hey, won't you take me away? I can't see the point in the dawn of the day when so many killers here to take you away and leave little left except hatred.
We woke from a well-deserved sleep to a lovely little stand of Scots pine. The sun was shining and we were ready to go. When sleeping next to rivers, I usually advocate sleeping in a hammock in case the river rises suddenly overnight. But when you see how far we were from the water level, you can understand why I was so confident in my bivy bag.
Good. Wait on.
This would be our last day we'd be spending on the river. We left our camp near the washing machine rapid, not far from Ballindalach, and headed towards our destination of Spey Bay and the sea. We set off on high hopes in what we thought was supposed to be a drier day than yesterday. The river's characters changed again at this point. They were small, faster rapids much more often, and it made for an entertaining paddling as we passed through some of the prettiest sections so far.
Here, mate. You don't have to come through here, I don't think. Can if you want.
We love paddling our GRP Apache canoes, but they are not like paddling a big strong plastic or Royal X canoe. They ride lower in the water and are delicate, and although they are slick and fast in the water, you must take care of them, as one major collision with a rock can totally destroy the hull, especially when loaded with camping gear.
Go.
In this low water we had to concentrate at all times.
Oh yeah. This looks good.
It's hard work dodging and avoiding rocks all day, and it's very tiring, but for us there's no better way of detaching from the stresses of modern life than by letting yourself be absorbed completely by the expedition and the pace of the river. You must be careful though, as the relentless navigating of rapids for 15 hours a day changes your view of what's ahead of you, and I find myself much more likely to take chances I normally wouldn't in the pursuit of making progress, and I have to make a conscious effort to check these impulses. We were passing by more and more industrial infrastructure now, as we approached the agricultural heart of Aberdeenshire. This pretty overpass is the Craig Ellicky Bridge.
Nice spot, eh? How you doing?
A name used a lot in this area, maybe most famously for the tasty whiskey made there. Not surprisingly, it means Rocky Hill, and there are plenty of those around.
Watch that!
We try to take turns going first down rapids, as the person in front always takes more of a risk in following his chosen line, and the person in front can warn the following paddler of any unseen dangers. The rapids are very frequent at this point in the river, and although we were making good progress, the relentless pace was tiring us out. Rapids like this could be passed easily if the river was in spate, but due to the low water, they were a labyrinth of canoe-destroying boulders. We'd made good progress, so it was time to pull in for some lunch. That's us to stop for lunch. We've had a really nice morning, some really good rapids. We've covered about, what, between 17 and 20 kilometres. We haven't calculated it yet with the map. It's been really nice. The weather stayed good. The river's higher than what it was. So we've had a lot of fun in some of the rapids.
Still really low though.
It's low, yeah, but we haven't had as many problems. We've had options. At least there is enough water to keep us buoyant. We haven't had to get out of the canoe yet. So yeah, it's about 2 o'clock now, so we're getting some lunch. We've got a lovely mug of soup there, some baguettes, and I've got the percolator with the coffee on behind us there, so we can just get going quite quick. We don't have to light a fire or clean up the kelly kettle. And yeah, we'll recharge and we'll get back to it. The Spey is a great river to canoe, especially if you're like me and love trees and forests, as there is plenty of both for you to feast your eyes on as the river goes by or through forested valley one after another. And there is always some interesting rock formations or wildlife to spot along the way. The river was starting to get a little busier though, as the salmon fishing beats became more frequent, and we had to give other river users plenty of room and forewarning.
Coming up on your left. Hi there. Let me hang around to see what you got. Fish on. Good eating on a sea trout though. Busy river, isn't it?
We were having a great time running all the little rapids, and the scenery just kept on giving.
David's emptying his canoe there after a couple of rapids. Come in here, have a few pecans. Keep the energy up. You'll see we've got pretty much everything you don't want to see on a riverbank. Himalayan balsam, which is the pink flowered plant on the rocks there with the sort of red stem. Quite a pretty plant, but obviously that's why, you know, plant hunters have brought it into the country, and then it obviously becomes naturalised and then invasive and goes crazy. And then you've got Japanese knotweed up there. And there's been a heck of a lot of dead elm trees along the edge as well. That's not a dead elm there, that's an alder, but and it's obviously becoming a lot more prevalent as we get further down. Up in the hills and the valleys it was really nice, it was clean, it was pristine, it was natural. Well, as natural as a managed environment, a managed highland environment can be. But yeah, it's a bit of a problem coming down and seeing all these.
The river was becoming noticeably wider now, as its catchment increased and there was more exposed sedimentary rock in the surrounding cliffs, as the landscape character changed from an alpine mountainscape to rich agricultural floodplain. This rather striking red rock formation is called the Earth Pillars, and is made of old red conglomerate sandstone, and is one of a few odd rock formations in this stretch of the river. I naturally assumed that the rapids would get less frequent as we got closer to the sea, but the Spey didn't disappoint. The rapids kept coming. Not only did the rapids keep coming, but the impressive rock formations kept coming as well. You can really feel the river's erosive power in the landscape at this point in the river.
Where the sand martins have like burrowed into that really sandy layer.
These rocks are what we call hunter-killers. Little roe deer down there on the bank. As the day drew to a close, we knew we must be nearing our destination. As we near our finishing point at Spey Bay, the river splits into a mini delta, and we break and rejoin other main flows.
Very close now. I think it's time we get in. Hiya. Yeah, I don't think we want to go any further than this, do we? I thought I recognised you. Did you pass us back up there, did you? Well, we think this is us. I've never been here before, so... Kingussie. Took us a couple of days. Excellent.
So there we go, we have finished the what's the name of it? The Spey descent. There we go, we finished the Spey descent, all 114 kilometres conquered from Kingussie.
-8, because we didn't take it from Newton Moor, because the river was too shallow, and I didn't particularly want to portage my canoe for 8 kilometres.
All right, okay. Well, what, 106 kilometres then?
106.
106 kilometres of beautiful landscapes, a few little dunks in the water, and lots of wildlife.
One.
Yeah, okay,
one
okay, one dunk. So that is the sea right there, that's Spey Bay. We're here, we're finished, we've had another long day, and we are, I can tell you, we are pretty knackered and really looking forward to something to eat. So our transport's a couple hundred yards over there, so the next thing is to get all the canoes sorted. And get them and the gear up to the car and start the journey home. What a fantastic trip. So, should we do it?
Yeah.
Good man, here, put it in.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Good man.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope you enjoyed watching our trip down the Spey as much as I enjoyed making it, and I hope you will join us on many more adventures on the Greener Glens YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, as I'll be releasing videos regularly and you won't want to miss them. And also like our Facebook page, where you can see information on upcoming videos and other interesting bushcraft and foraging posts. So keep on paddling, and I'll see you all very soon.